that by signing J.J. Redick to a 4-year deal. According to Syracuse grad and great reporter Dave McMiniman, LeBron had no say in the hire. Brew, is J.J. Redick qualified for this job?
Well, look, there have been more than a dozen players that became head coaches without any experience, okay? So I guess some people might say in that sense, but I would say none of them were qualified, whether they did well or not. If there is a certain thing as a qualification for a head coach, J.J. Redick doesn't meet it. He has coached no one over 12 years old, ever. You know, so how can you be – no one can say with a straight face that he's qualified, okay? Even if you look at the players that went to become head coaches, because who was successful? And I know there's a number, Mark Jackson, I thought had success, but I'm going to talk about success relative to what does J.J. Redick have to do to be viewed as successful.
Yeah.
That's okay. If he has to be Steve Kerr.
No. I was saying Steve Kerr's been successful.
Right. Steve Kerr's been successful. Doc Rivers won a championship.
But not with the team that hired him.
Not with the team that hired him.
Yep.
But Larry Bird was successul.
Yep.
Got to the finals. And Jay Kidd, not with the team that hired him.
That's the other key.
But he's been to the finals.
So let me jump in on that point.
So you're saying Kerr's the only one?
Well, I'm going to show it to you. So since Bird, there have been 9. It'll be easier for the audience to see than you guys, but I'll explain what that says. 9 coaches who had no experience ever get a job like J.J. Redick. The only one that won more than one playoff series with the team that hired him is Kerr. The only one. So, I mean, Doc Rivers, 3 seasons in Orlando, 0 playoff series. Isaiah Thomas, 3 seasons in Indy, 0 playoff series. Vinny Del Negro, famously, 3 seasons in Chicago, 0 playoff series wins, might have been 2. Mark Jackson, 3 seasons in Golden State, 1 playoff series win. Jay Kidd, 1 season with the Nets, 1 playoff series win. Kerr, 6 and 23, all that stuff. And then Derek Fisher, 2 seasons, 0 playoff series. Steve Nash, 3 seasons, 1 playoff series. So even the ones, Brew, this is why it's such a risk that we're Doc, Jay Kidd. Yep. Oh, those are good coaches. Not for the team that hired them.
Right.
Not until they got, you know what? Experience.
And they did okay.
They did okay, but it didn't.
Okay is not going to save it.
Okay is not going to save it.
Right.
So it's just our old, I don't want to quote him because I don't know if he wanted to be quoted, but someone brought this up to me yesterday, and I thought it was a good point. Why has JJ not gotten the Jeff Saturday treatment?
Oh, I can answer that.
Why?
At least football is different.
Oh, because it's just the bar?
It is the hardest of the 3 major sports to coach. I think the coach has much more is a factor in the success. I cannot imagine, and I don't know why the Colts did, that anyone
Correct.
could step out of never coaching to coaching the NFL football. Basketball, it can be done.
So that's why he didn't get the full Jeff Saturday treatment. I guess the reason it piqued my interest was the Jeff Saturday thing was a sign of a totally dysfunctional organization, owner. It was a punchline, right? And the JJ thing is he's going to walk in as an above average coach as far as pay. $8 million a year is more than Missoula makes. Yep. It's more than they were willing to offer Ty Lue.
What was Ham? I thought around 5.
I thought Ham was around 4 and Vogel was around 5. My answer, Danny, is no, he is not.
So the reporting on this for me, and I trust the reporters.
Yeah.
I know some of them. Yeah. Some of it's been weird. Some of it's been pretty straightforward. It is beginning to strain the limits of logic for me to say that LeBron sat back and had no word, no influence. Okay, maybe he wants plausible deniability, but does anyone here really believe J.J. Redick is the coach of the Lakers if he does not host a podcast with LeBron James?
No, but I don't think those two things are necessarily the same thing as what you're saying. I think they might have hired him because he hosts the pod with LeBron. I do not think that necessarily means LeBron called Rob Pelinka or Jeannie Buss and endorsed this.
I agree, but the smoke signal has been up on J.J. Redick for weeks. I mean, we know that Coach K is advising Rob Pelinka on this. We know that LeBron has a relationship with Coach K. I mean, he could call his podcast producer if he didn't want it to be JJ Redick.
If he wants to be involved, if LeBron wanted to be involved, like, I'm not against LeBron being involved. I don't think he was, but he's LeBron James.
No, of course, I'm not against it either.
He's the best player on the team. So I have no problem if he was involved. To answer your question, I don't think the podcast has something to do with it. Like him being hired. I think the Lakers can say, look, we know that our team leader respects this guy. So if JJ Redick steps into training camp and has the respect of LeBron, which he will, then that should get everybody else in line. The reason I disagree that he could have got the job had they not done a podcast is because JJ was on the head coaching radar. He got interviewed by Toronto last year. Yeah. They got one of the best GMs in the league, Masai Ujiri. Charlotte was interested. But he got he got him interviewed with them this year. So I think he would have gotten some interest from the Lakers regardless.
That may be true. It just seems to me like if LeBron didn't want this to happen, he'd put it out there. And
agree with that.
You know, they give him ample opportunity to reach out and be like, no, we don't want it. It was like, okay, LeBron doesn't want to make this hire. He doesn't want the responsibility of it because JJ should be coaching there long beyond when LeBron James is done playing for the Lakers and done playing in the NBA. It just strikes me that relationship is too much of a coincidence.
The hire happened, right? JJ's the coach?
He's the coach.
Has LeBron said anything? I find that a little interesting. LeBron today tweeted a beautiful article, wonderful article about his lovely wife Savannah from Harper's Bazaar. Yesterday, LeBron tweeted about Ryan Coogler.
Don't you think it's smart?
I
don't think it would look. LeBron already knows that the perception is he hired JJ Redick.
Correct.
I wouldn't tweet anything if I were him.
Okay, well, I'm just observing that it hasn't happened.
The question is, has AD or any of the other players tweeted? Then maybe they have.
I don't even think AD has a Twitter, and he certainly is not tweeting today. Alex Caruso, I don't know if it was a tweet or what it was, but Alex Caruso, there was some type of quote about Alex Caruso keeping receipts and how this is going to help him. So I'm not sure what those receipts are, but
the first interview with JJ and the Lakers was weeks ago. How many podcast episodes have they done since then? Like JJ and LeBron have talked about JJ being the coach of the Lakers.
Well, my advice: don't do the pod, man.
My advice: do the pod. Stephen A. is going to get a lot of angry texts from people. Oh boy, if they do that pod. Brew, how should LeBron feel about this being his new head coach? JJ being.
I think he should. Just looking at the way he's handled things, I would be shocked if he's not fine with it. Like actually more than fine with it. I'm not saying he has something to do with the hire, but I can't believe he's displeased with this. He's LeBron James. And LeBron, I don't think cares what a lot of people think of him. All right, so I don't think he's just saying, oh, they're going to think I made the hire if I do. If he really thought there's no way we can put our team in the hands of a guy that has never coached, say something. Not publicly, but say something to Rob Pelinka and Jeannie Buss. Like, look,
really say
JJ
something to
is
Linda Rambis if you want to get things moving in that organization.
Whoever, but make your voice known, and you've earned that. So I think LeBron stayed out of it. Maybe they were like, hey, you good with this? Or to Rich, is LeBron good with this? And I'm sure he has to be fine with it.
Go ahead.
I mean, it would go down as one of the most dysfunctional things I can remember in pro sports if they hired JJ Redick, LeBron's podcast co-host, and then LeBron was furious about it, opted out and left. How much egg on the face would there be for the Lakers? And I know they've been dysfunctional and have not handled these things great, but that's a level of dysfunction too far for me to believe. So I'm with you. I think LeBron is, at a minimum, fine with it and probably pretty excited about it.
He clearly respects JJ's basketball knowledge.
So, yeah, I think so. I guess, and again, I acknowledge that my opinion on this seems to be out of step with nearly everyone else. So sometimes that just, means I'm on the cutting edge. But sometimes it means I'm wrong, right? No, sometimes it means I'm wrong. I think that LeBron can really enjoy talking basketball with him and respect his basketball knowledge, but also as a one of the smartest players ever, and a guy who has had kind of every different type of coach you can have. He's been in the league so long. He had a great coach in Spo. He had Ty Lue, who was an unknown, and not unknown, but an unproven, who has now proven to be a great coach. A guy came over from Europe who it didn't work, and David Blatt, a retread, and Vogel had every type. I think he knows what makes and doesn't make a good head coach, and someone who can get through to not only the best players, but the most out of the other players. I think that is asking a lot of J.J. Redick. I think that it is, and if you're...
Just because he doesn't have any experience?
Yes, because...
So do you think LeBron's disappointed?
I think that LeBron James did not want to be in a position where I have to choose to either leave Los Angeles or put the last couple years of my career in the hands of the least experienced coach in NBA history. I do not believe when LeBron started, and I know that this is, again, out of step with what a lot of people think. And I don't know what you think on this one, Brew. I do not think when LeBron started this podcast with J.J. Redick, he was like, this is the first domino to him being my head coach.
I agree with you.
So I don't think LeBron, when things were clearly going the wrong way with Darvin Ham, thought, whomever it is, my next head coach is going to be the least experienced head coach arguably ever, and younger than me. I just don't think he thought that's where the train was going to end, which is why I think he was excited about the idea that it could be Dan Hurley.
Then he should have said something. He talked to Hurley, and maybe he did, but he should have said something to the front office if he's that opposed to it. I don't think he's opposed to it. I do think that I don't see him leaving.
I don't either.
I see him leaving this, so I'm sure he's fine with it.
I don't see him leaving, but if he stays with the Lakers, it is because there are a lot of factors at play, and it's, to me, will signal, and this would have been no matter who they hired, that there wasn't a coach they were going to hire that he was going to leave.
That was who else out there? Who would he have preferred? Because it's not like a great list.
You mentioned Monty Williams, who's new. I think Sam Cassell at least makes more sense. Like there is more.
I think Mark Jackson made more sense. But again, if you want one of those guys, push for him.
I thought,
You're LeBron James.
So that's a fair criticism. Is that if it should have been, he should have been more vocal in the coaching search.
I also don't think players care about experience as much as we do.
Yeah, we don't.
Really don't.
Maybe.
I agree.
We don't have a lot of time for this next segment. Luckily, the answer is no. Can anyone stop a Chiefs 3-3?